What is an example of using empathy as a tool or weapon? I don't really know what that means.
I'm a mediator, and in mediation, empathy is probably the central tool, as it is, in fact, in many other endeavors as well. But in mediation, you need to know what's going on for people. So if somebody's coming up and ranting, whatever they're doing, because very often people are very upset when you're in conflict situations, you go in close and say, tell me more about that. What did that feel like for you? And you try to go into where that person is, what's making them tick in that particular moment. And you just ask curious questions, and gradually you start to understand exactly what's going on for them. So in that sense, that's using it as a tool. Then there's a lot of debate in the empathy community about various, is empathy just emotional empathy? Is it cognitive? Is it, can it be mechanical? Can it be compassionate? So what are all these kind of different components of empathy? So what I'm talking about really here is what the academics would call cognitive empathy. Some empathy researchers would say cognitive empathy isn't really empathy, only emotional empathy is empathy, but these are, for me, using it as a tool, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to go to where that person is and really, really understand what's going on for them. And then you can move on from there. The weaponization thing I'm going to leave at the moment, but I think you can go into situations where you're not a mediator, you are a participant in a battle, and you are going to do better in that battle if you know exactly what motivates your opposition. And when I say battle, I'm not saying that you're not necessarily going to shoot them,
Yeah,
we can be Canadians,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, this one was there.
What is your definition of superhero?
Superhero. Uh-huh. Really pick up on that. I kind of threw it in. It's, I think in times of great crisis, in a way everybody wants to be a superhero. What do we do about great crisis situations that are confronting us? Can I do something, me, just as an individual person? So I think it's good to think, yes, I can do something. What is it I can do? And you march into that situation. It's sort of like, and take it on and see what happens. So in a sense, that would be, yeah, I'm being a superhero. I'm embracing the conflict. I'm bringing it to me. Bring it on, and I'll deal with it. So I think it's that openness to engage. Although I saw a little quote after I put that out, and it said, great deeds are not, most superhero action really comes from just being gentle and kind with everybody you encounter. That's where it comes from. Okay.
As a baby boomer, do you feel your generation did a good job taking care of the world?
Oh, no. We enjoyed ourselves, though.
Oh, yes, you certainly did.
Yeah. No, looking back, we might have done a few things differently. And in fact, there were many people who would advocate that from, Greenpeace, born in Vancouver back in the 60s and 70s. And the whole pollution probe, born in Toronto, same period. So a lot of those kind of movements to say, hey, wait a minute, guys, we need to kind of like pull back a bit and pay attention here. A lot of those kind of consciousness did come out during our period of growing up. I think when you view fossil fuels, really is what it comes down to. Fossil fuels were discovered and power absolutely everything we are and do and be. You can't look around and see even these wooden tables were cut with a fossil fuel driven machine of some sort. Everything we have is to do with fossil fuels. And so now to suddenly say, oh my God, what are we going to do? We've got to get rid of them. That's a huge, huge, huge thing, huge jump. So do I feel guilty as part of my generation? No, I don't think guilt is the right thing to feel. I think just be conscious, be kind. I think guilt is pretty useless, actually. Sorry. Yeah.
We tend to think of superheroes having superpowers. So what would be an example of a superpower that youth could embody to help a problem they think needs direction and a voice?
Well, I mean, the one I work on specifically is empathy. And to me, I would categorize it as a superpower. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, I could tell you story after story of going into conflict situations where the application of empathy in that situation has turned everything around. I've been in a mediation where people were hissing and spitting at each other. They just hated each other so much. And with an empathic response, and I've seen it turn around in a second. Just go from hissing and spitting to, oh my God, we're all human beings in the universe together. Oh, you're just another human being. Oh, I had no idea. And all of a sudden, they're embracing. I've actually seen that happen. People who were hating each other go to embracing each other in just a fraction of a moment with the application of empathy. So that is the specific one I work on. It's difficult, though. It's difficult.
There's the next one.
Okay.
One of the themes here is revolution, extinction. Can
Yeah.
you explain what that is?
It's a movement started in London. It's currently in its 4th day of occupying 4 key areas of London and blocking traffic throughout London. And 60 other cities around the world also have branches. There is one in Victoria. They took over the Johnson Street Bridge a few weeks back and blocked the Johnson Street Bridge for a few hours. I went down to that one. And it's totally non-violent, and it's basically saying we are in a major extinction event. They call it the 6th major global extinction, and it's well underway. And we look around, and it doesn't look like there's a lot happening. In fact, there is. I mean, the IPCC and all those kind of 196 nations actually agreeing to a major global agreement. That's a major, major accomplishment. So there is stuff happening. But the theme behind that particular movement is that it's not happening fast enough. We need climate emergencies to be declared everywhere, and we need to start addressing it. We need to carbon down now, not like over the next 50 years. We need to do it now. And so they're saying, we're just going to get everybody's attention. And so it's a movement designed to put pressure on governments to carbon down faster than they're agreeing to at the moment. So you can join here in town.
There's one over here.
But you have to be prepared to get arrested.
Oh.
Let's do it. How's your experience with like an architect, traveler, sailor? How have you been able to bring that into your roles in media?
How does one's life experience come into what you're doing in the moment, in this particular moment? And I think for all of us, for you, for me, for everybody, we're all sort of got a chunk of experience that we've had up to the moment that we exist now, and we use that's who we are. I mean, we are that product of our experience. And, I mean, this wonderful group that you have there at the Institute of US, this is like so exciting, and you're a wonderful teacher, and this trip you're going on. Oh my God, this is like this is like Launchpad Central for you guys. I mean, I'm sure you all know Greta Thunberg, and, so there you are, like, here's a whole room full of Greta Thunbergs just ready to go.
Why do you think people didn't listen to others who spoke out about climate change when it was first brought up on top of them?
Repeat it.
Why, when climate change and all the implications of fossil fuels and things that were first brought up, which was kind of actually in about 1870, why didn't people start listening to it, back in those days? Well, okay, in 1870, forgive me, it was just a few scientists, and then you move on, and gradually the word spreads out more and more, the whole scientific community. In the 60s, 70s, even in the first Bush president in the States, during that period, it was well accepted that about climate change and the need to decarbonize. The American military accepted it, the American government accepted it, and there was a lot going on in that direction. And then all of a sudden, there was a campaign. I mean, I think, if you're going to lay it at anybody's feet at this point, it typically is laid at the feet of the fossil fuel industry itself that said, whoa, wait a minute, our profits are going up in smoke here if we go down that far. And so there was a very, very conscious disinformation campaign, from Exxon, from the Koch brothers, from, fossil fuel industry. But even back in BP, British Petroleum, they actually said, yeah, no, we're on board, and they actually changed their whole logo, and they changed the name British Petroleum to Beyond Petroleum, and they started to become an alternative fuel company way back. But they were a little early in the shift in the industry, and the board of directors threw out the management team and replaced them and said, no, but it's too early for that, we're going back into the fuel business. So greed is probably pretty dominant in the reasoning, which is a human failing that we all have, and needs to be fought against all the time. But if there was one word, I would say it was greed.
We have a question on here.
Yeah, who comes to mind when you think of a superhero that you know, and what do they do that makes you feel that way?
So what comes to mind when I think of
A superhero, so like what traits they possess?
Well, I think kindness, I think is, in one word, I think it's always being kind. When somebody cuts you off in traffic, you really want to just turn around and give them the finger, honk your horn, whatever it is, right? I mean, it's very annoying when somebody cuts you off in traffic. But to actually say, oh, you must be in a hurry, pull back and let them go. It's kind of carrying that forward into all your interactions, and just think every interaction you have to be as kind as you possibly can. That would be, and it's difficult. Really difficult, right? Somebody shouting at you and being abusive, it's difficult to wow, I can see something's not going well for you today, and saying that not in a condescending way, but in a true way that they appreciate. Well, you're right, it damn well is, and then you can start moving in.
So in the revolution extinction movement, why block the road as opposed to in a park?
Well, I mean, if you go into the park, you might just be having a picnic. You block the road, the cops are going to come. You're going to get the newspapers. You're going to get the TV stations. So yeah, no, you got to block the road. There's no point just going to the park. If you go to the park, have a picnic, and then maybe before you go block the road, have a picnic first. Have a great
Hold on,
trip.
we have one.
What would your superhero name be?
That's Martin. How do you do?